Jennifer Cave's family and friends are thrilled for her. She's just been hired on full-time as a secretary at an Austin law firm.
Her friend, excited by the news, said, hey, we should go out and celebrate.
But her friend is mixing vodka and Xanax and getting out of hand. Jennifer's first shift starts in a few hours.
They inform her Jennifer didn't come in, and they ask if she knows where she is.
But unfortunately, she never makes it.
The impact on the community and the UT community was significant.
It's a tragedy that University of Texas students will talk about for years to come. When Jennifer Cave fails to show up for her first day at a new job, her parents, Jim and Sharon, worry something has happened to her. They trace her steps back to the last place they believe she was, the Orange Tree condo belonging to a friend of Jennifer's. What they find there is a parent's worst nightmare.
Austin 911, Denise Police, Fire or EMS. Please, where are you? Please, our address of the emergency. It's an Orange Tree apartment. Sir, this is 911. We have a lot of help on the way. I just need to be able to confirm if she is conscious and breathing.
No, I think she's dead.
Okay, so she is past, you believe she's past doing CPR?
I do, and I also believe that we've got a crime scene here that I don't want to disturb.
My name is Snu Thomas. I'm an audio journalist in Austin, Texas. I published a podcast in 2019 called The Orange Tree, which covered the murder of Jennifer Cave and subsequent trials. West Campus is a series of neighborhoods that surround the University of Texas at Austin. I lived there for about 2 years, and during that time I heard a lot about the murder of Jennifer Cave.
August 16th, 2005, Jennifer Cave gets a call from the law firm where she interviewed.
She had just found out that day that she had gotten a job at a law office. In fact, she applied initially for a job at a law office that was a lower position than she ended up getting through the process of her interview because they liked her so much.
Jennifer calls friends and family to share the good news with them while she lays out an outfit for her first day at the new job. For Jennifer's mom and stepdad, this comes as a major relief. It sounds like a step in the right direction that Jennifer needs to get her life on track. Over the past few years, Jennifer's had trouble finding her footing. After high school, she does a semester at Texas State, then decides she wants a change and ends up at Austin Community College. Jennifer grows up in the small town of Bishop, Texas, which has a population of roughly 3,000 people. Making the move to Austin, Texas feels like a long way from home. It's a big city with a thriving nightlife, overflowing with college kids looking to party. It's a shock for this small town girl looking to find herself. Jim and Sharon see there's been a change in Jennifer. Sharon is especially concerned that Jennifer seems checked out from school. They fear that she's rudderless, not herself, and at risk of falling in with a bad crowd. Which is why Jim and Sharon are so relieved to hear Jennifer's great news about her new job.
And so that night, after calling all of her family and her friends to let them know the good news, her friend Colton Pitonyak, excited by the news, said, hey, we should go out and celebrate. Colton Pitonyak was a McCombs business student at UT Austin at the time. He was also like a small town drug dealer. During his initial years of college, he started dealing drugs out of West Campus and partying a lot, as comes the territory of selling drugs.
A one-time top student at his all-boys Catholic school in Little Rock, Arkansas, Colton no longer seems to care about his academic future. He abuses drugs and alcohol and parties a lot. Lately, Jennifer has put some distance between herself and Colton in an effort to get her life on track. But on the evening of August 16, 2005, Jennifer decides to accept Colton's invitation, and the two go out to celebrate.
In Austin, especially for young people, when you go out to celebrate, you go to 6th Street. It's just a strip of bars, kind of like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. So that's where they decided to go that night. They went into Treasure Island and actually ran into a couple friends who were there for a birthday party. They remember seeing her with Colton, who was clearly very inebriated, where she was not.
It's getting late. Colton is intoxicated from a mix of vodka and Xanax. Jennifer will need to get home soon if she wants to be ready for her first day at her new job in the morning. The last time Colton and Jennifer are seen together by friends, Colton is upset because he can't find his phone, and Jennifer is trying to help him. The group of friends head to another bar and lose track of the pair at this point. The next morning, August 17, 2005, Jennifer fails to show up for the first day at her new job.
Sharon gets a phone call from the law office where Jennifer is supposed to start. They inform her Jennifer didn't come in, and they ask if she knows where she is. Sharon is distraught and calls her daughter.
She wasn't picking up her phone, and she never really did that, especially like at this point in her life. She was being really responsible and getting back to people, so that seemed like odd behavior for her mother and her family. So at the point that Sharon Cave realized that something was going on when her daughter wasn't picking up her phone.
The whole situation immediately sets off alarm bells for Sharon. She's worried something has happened to Jennifer. And since her daughter is on her phone plan, Sharon quickly gets a log of all the numbers Jennifer has recently called. Sharon speaks to a friend of Jennifer's named Michael, who claims he spoke to Jennifer the previous night. Jennifer tells him she has a friend who's having issues and agrees to hang out with him. Michael tells Sharon the friend's name is Colton. Sharon finds Colton's number in Jennifer's call log. She calls him, but he denies having seen her the previous night. Something doesn't add up.
Colton's been getting calls all afternoon from family and friends who know that he was with Jennifer the night before, and that's the last person that anyone saw Jennifer with, up until she didn't show up to her first day of her new job.
Sharon gets back in touch with Michael, who insists that Colton and Jennifer were together the previous night.
She keeps Michael on the phone while she tries Colton again on another phone.
Colton is irritated and tells Sharon he hasn't seen Jennifer and he doesn't know where she is.
Michael knows that Colton is lying, but why? What is he hiding?
Jennifer Cave grows up in the small Texas town of Bishop and eventually moves to the big city of Austin, where she struggles with school and friends. Jennifer has problems finding her footing. Her parents are worried that she doesn't care about college and doesn't know what she wants in life. She's involved with some bad influences, like her friend Colton. Jennifer's parents see her turning her life around when she lands a job as a law secretary. But the night before her first shift, she agrees to go out with friend Colton. She never shows up for work the next day. Sharon has been calling around, trying to get hold of Jennifer without luck. According to her friends, she was last seen with Colton, but when Sharon calls Colton, he denies having seen her. Sharon and Jim decide to call 911 to report Jennifer missing.
Since Jennifer was technically an adult, there was no way for them to file a missing persons report yet. They have to wait the certain amount of time before they could do that, and an official missing persons report can be filed.
The next day, August 18th, Sharon and Jim still hadn't heard from Jennifer. They could wait no longer.
No one was really giving her any answers, especially not the person Jennifer was last seen with, Colton Pitonyak. She got really worried. Jim and Sharon decided to drive up to Austin and check in on her.
As Jim and Sharon make the 3-hour drive from Corpus Christi to Austin, they call 911 again.
Sharon speaks to the Austin Police Department and explains the situation.
While it's still too early to file a missing persons report, Sharon describes Jennifer's behavior as out of the ordinary, and the detective deems it worth following up on.
An officer is sent to check out Colton's place. His car is parked in its space, but there's no response at his suite. For now, there isn't much she can do. Later that day, Jim and Sharon arrive in Austin.
After not finding Jennifer or any trace of her where she would normally be, her apartment or elsewhere, they end up going to Colton's apartment. It's the first stop they make, actually, because Jennifer's roommate, Denise Winterbottom, said that she wasn't there at their apartment. So they head to the source of where they last know Jennifer to have been, with Colton.
They knock at Colton's condo. There's no answer. They try the police again and explain that Jennifer's car is here, but they still haven't been able to get in touch with her. They are told that there is no probable cause at this point to enter Colton's apartment, and for now, there's nothing more to do than wait.
They end up knocking on the door for several hours, looking for a sign of any movement inside, just anyone around, in and around, that knows where Jennifer is, but they can't get any information still. And the door is locked. It seems to be deadbolted. And they know that because they call someone to try to come unlock it for them. They call a locksmith and they can't get in because it's deadbolted from the inside. So their next step is to just look for any way to try to get in there. They see a little crack in the outside window. And Jim and Sharon have the idea of maybe opening the window through that crack.
Jim goes and gets a piece of a pair of sunglasses from the car.
And he uses that to basically crack open the window and unlock it from the inside.
He instructs Sharon to wait outside. He knows he may be in danger.
He climbs inside, and once he's there, he's just trying to get through the darkness and the clutter. He describes walking through the small condominium, yelling out loud, trying to make his presence known. If there's anyone in there, to let them know that he is coming in, that he's Jennifer's stepfather, and that he's not trying to harm anyone, he's just trying to look for Jennifer. But no one's answering, it's dark and there's no sign of movement. And that's when he starts to smell something coming from the bathroom, which he doesn't really know his way around this condominium, but he's drawn to the bathroom because of the smell.
What Jim discovers inside Colton's apartment shakes him to his core. He's barely able to convey to Sharon that there is a dead body inside, and he thinks it may be Jennifer.
Austin 911, Denise Police, Fire or EMS. Please hurry, please hurry. Our address of the emergency. It's an Orange Tree Apartment. Yes, sir, this is 911. We have a lot of help on the way. I just need to be able to confirm if she is conscious and breathing.
No, I think she's dead.
Okay, so she is past, you believe she's past doing CPR?
I do, and I also believe that we've got a crime scene here that I don't want to disturb.
With police on the way, Sharon and Jim may finally be able to answer the question of what happened to Jennifer. But new questions begin to form. What happened to Colton, and where is he? An officer arrives at the condo to discover a grisly crime scene. He finds the body of a young woman in the bathtub. It is partially dismembered, missing both the head and the hands. Officer Barberia notices a bloody hacksaw. He sees a plastic garbage bag near the tub, and given the shape of it, he knows what's inside. Who is capable of doing something like this, and why?
While the primary crime scene is located in the bathroom, investigators discover what are likely bloodstains in several other areas of the condo. They also discover the likely murder weapon, a 9mm handgun, as well as 2 shell casings. Whoever did this didn't make much of an attempt to clean up afterwards. Nevertheless, at this point in the investigation, there's many more questions and answers, so they must be thorough in cataloging the evidence.
Given that Colton's condo is so close to campus, students are rattled by the fact that a murder has occurred so close to home. But for now, details of the grisly crime are withheld. The body is identified as Jennifer Cave. The cause of death is from a 9mm bullet that passes through Jennifer's arm and lodges in her aorta, stopping her heart and causing near-instant death. But a second bullet is fired.
It's difficult to describe and impossible to comprehend, but a second bullet from the same gun was discovered in the severed head of Jennifer Cave. The bullet entered the area of the stem of her neck and lodged in her skull, indicating that it was fired after she was already dead. Whatever the reason for doing this, it may present investigators with a glimpse into the psyche of her killer. Detectives are intentionally withholding the details of the crime from the press. They fear that if the public knew, imposters would come forward and claim responsibility. Anytime you have a murder like this, it tends to draw out some very depraved individuals, attention seekers, all who want to take credit for it.
Detective David Fugit is assigned to the case. His main priority right now is tracking down Colton for questioning.
One of the detectives who was really following this, who was in charge of tracking down Colton, actually had kind of an easy time pinpointing him at the time because Colton never turned his cell phone off.
The cell phone trace shows that Colton is in Piedras Negras, Mexico, but pings from cell phone towers aren't useful in pinpointing someone's exact location. If he has any hope of extraditing Colton and getting to the bottom of what happened to Jennifer Cave, he'll need to coordinate with local authorities.
Jennifer Cave is drawn to the troubled, self-destructive persona of her friend Colton. Jennifer's stepfather, Jim, describes this as the, quote, stray dog theory, a pull to help the wayward, the down and out. But since high school, Jennifer herself has been without much in the way of purpose or direction. But Jennifer seems about to turn her life around with a full-time job at a law office where she's excited to start work. Only Jennifer never shows up to work. And in their search to find their daughter, Jim and Sharon are led back to Colton's Orange Tree condo, where they find Jennifer's body in the bathtub. Now, detectives are desperate to speak to Colton and get to the bottom of what happened. But they'll need to find him first.
While detectives are busy trying to track down Colton, they get a call from the parents of Laura Hall. Laura's parents have received some cryptic emails from their daughter saying that she's gone to Mexico and she doesn't plan on coming back. Investigators' lone fugitive theory is about to go out the window. Colton Pitonyak is in Mexico, and he's not alone.
Laura Hall was a student at UT as well. By all accounts, including her own, she had a huge crush on Colton. She liked him a lot, and she was hoping to pursue a romantic relationship, something more serious than he had in mind at the time.
While he's not yet sure how she's involved, Fugit is now looking for Laura Hall and her green Cadillac.
Footage is captured of Laura and Colton crossing the border. At the checkpoint where they cross into Mexico, you see footage of Laura and Colton handing over their IDs to officials. The drive is pretty long, but Laura seems to have driven the whole way, and Colton in the passenger seat was still trying to stay as drunk as possible and still taking a lot of Xanax.
Detective Fugit now has concrete proof that Laura Hall is involved and that she and Colton have fled to Mexico.
Detectives already have a mountain of questions for Colton, but more questions are raised as to how and why Laura Hall is involved and what role, if any, did she play in Jennifer Cave's murder.
Meanwhile, nearly 4 hours away, Colton and Laura Hall are holed up at a hotel in the Mexican city of Piedras Negras.
So after making their way into Mexico, Colton and Laura are hiding out at a hotel, and it's at that time they're really paranoid. Colton is still drinking and doing a lot of drugs. They end up befriending the hotel manager, Pedro Fernandez. He invited Colton over actually to watch mixed martial arts on his television.
Colton and Laura accept Pedro's invitation to watch a fight at his place. Colton is very inebriated, but still paranoid.
When this happens is kind of when things begin to unravel. When he notices that Laura and Colton are displaying kind of odd behavior, he gets a little suspicious.
Colton and Laura openly ask the hotel manager about extradition laws, about selling Laura's car, and suggest they can't go back to the US. Well, naturally, that sets off a lot of red flags.
And during this time, when Laura and Colton are over at his place, kind of partying, watching mixed martial arts with Pedro, is when that infamous photo is taken of Laura and Colton by Pedro's child's playpen, smiling ear to ear, holding a stuffed animal. It's described that, Colton is really paranoid, very somber, and stressed out, but this photo tells a completely different story of how they were feeling at the time.
Detective Fugit has yet to learn Laura's motive for aiding Colton. But given the high media profile of this case, he is eager to get the two in custody.
Yes, the media was really all over this case, and particularly the story about Colton and Laura going to Mexico and being in hiding for a few days. That's when the media scrutiny was very high.
The hotel manager continues to be suspicious of the odd American couple he's just had over to watch the fight. So he speaks to a friend in the Border Patrol and learns of a murder that recently happened in Austin.
He reaches out to Detective Fugit and sends him the photo of Colton and Laura, as well as the location of the hotel they are staying at.
Thanks to the hotel manager, detectives are able to narrow their search and locate Laura and Colton. They get in touch with Mexican law enforcement, who are eager to cooperate with U.S. authorities.
On August 23, 2005, 5 days after the murder of Jennifer Cave, the pair of fugitives are arrested in their hotel room by Mexican authorities.
Laura and Colton are separated and interrogated, but because they only have an arrest warrant for Colton, they let Laura go. Investigators present Colton with what they know about the case. There's a mountain of evidence against Colton, so they're hopeful that he'll cooperate. But Colton is afraid to talk without his lawyer.
Are you telling me that you don't want to talk to me and you want an attorney?
an attorney.
Either you want to talk to us today, and obviously there's no attorney present. Okay. All right, then we can't talk to you, and we'll just go with the information that we have.
Fugit must terminate the interview. He'll have to wait a little longer to find out what happened to Jennifer that fateful night. Detective Fugit learns his prime suspect in Jennifer Cave's murder, Colton Pitonyak, has fled to Mexico with friend Laura Hall. Colton and Laura are arrested in their hotel room in Mexico 5 days after Jennifer Cave's murder. Laura is released and Colton is held. He refuses to speak to police without his attorney. Assistant District Attorneys Bill Bishop and Stephanie McFarland are assigned to Jennifer's case. The main facts of their case are simple. Jennifer was found in Colton's apartment.
The gun that killed her belonged to Colton. His fingerprints are all over the weapon. Add this to the fact that he fled to Mexico, and the case seems pretty cut and dried. But the DA has learned that Colton's parents have hired legendary defense attorney Roy Minton, and they wonder what sort of defense he could possibly be mounting. But they're ready for a fight.
Roy Minton is known for taking on hard cases, but he's also a pragmatist. He and his partner, Sam Bassett, must carefully comb the details of the case, making educated guesses at how the state will come after their client and ultimately form a defense that might reasonably stand up in court.
My name's Sam Bassett. I've been practicing law in Austin, Texas for 32 years. I specialize in criminal defense, and I represented Colton Pitonyak at the time of his trial. This case was certainly the most high-profile case I had been involved in. There was quite a bit of publicity in Austin, in the Austin area, and throughout the state, and perhaps nation.
One of their big hurdles is that Colton's substance abuse has created massive gaps in his memory. And without witnesses, the case will eventually come down to the physical evidence, mainly the handgun that is fired, causing Jennifer's death.
I think that the impact on the community and the UT community was significant. Colton was not the type of person that would usually be accused of committing some sort of crime like this. He was a good student who had been in a fraternity, and a lot of people were scratching their heads in the UT community about what had happened, why it had happened.
With questions still lingering on all sides of this case, the day of Colton's trial arrives. Jennifer's family and the community at large are hopeful that this trial will finally provide answers for what happened to Jennifer Cave and why.
The judge makes the surprising decision to allow Court TV Network to televise the proceedings. This very public case will now be available in real time to a shocked and curious public audience.
In this case, the Court TV camera was set up literally in the middle of the gallery, and it was a very large camera. Under the rules, the jurors couldn't be photographed, and witnesses who did not want to be photographed were excluded. But it was a very dominating influence in the courtroom, so it was a very significant part of what was going on inside the courtroom.
In the public eye, Colton is already guilty, but the question that people want answered is why he did it, and why he dismembered Jennifer's body the way he did. For the state, however, the burden of proof lies only in demonstrating that Colton did in fact murder Jennifer. The question of why he did it is not necessary to answer.
Colton's lawyers offer a rather surprising plea. They are not going to contest that Colton killed Jennifer, but they are asking that the charge of involuntary manslaughter be considered in this case.
In the opening statement, we addressed our theory of the case at that time. And the theory was that because of the manner in which Jennifer was shot, under the arm on the side, and the kind of random nature of the bullet going across her body and actually piercing her aorta, which was a very long shot type of situation, combined with everything we had learned from witnesses, all that information we compiled and had to come up with a strategy to defend him against the charge of murder.
In Colton's trial, he came out initially and due to the advice of his lawyers, said, I did this, I did kill Jennifer, but it was unintentional.
Based on the information we had, we concluded that the theory of the accident fueled by intoxication was the most credible theory that we could go on in defending Colton.
The state also brings up that this wasn't the first time a gun went off in Colton's apartment. He was known for playing around with guns a lot because he was selling drugs and he wanted to have this like hardcore image of him as a gangster. So they bring up a specific instance of him playing with a gun and it accidentally firing and shooting his dishwasher.
But ultimately, the judge decides against allowing the jury the charge of a lesser offense.
He denied our request, and I think this jury would have struggled if they had the option of manslaughter versus murder.
The trial doesn't last long. Colton's defense is limited in its options, as Colton has admitted to killing Jennifer. Their only hope is to paint a picture of a man who was not aware of what he was doing and hope for leniency in the sentencing.
Essentially, Colton's lawyers were just trying to get him a lighter sentence. They were trying to get him some sympathy from the jury by showcasing that he didn't remember any of that night, that he was so barred out on Xanax, had taken so many pills and drank so much that whole day that there's no possible way he could have intentionally killed this friend that he initially set out to celebrate her success with.
Minton allows Colton to testify in his own trial, a rarity for someone accused of murder. Minton doesn't go easy on his client. His tactic is to show that there are serious gaps in Colton's memory and that Colton likely misfired the gun that killed Jennifer by accident.
I think the most compelling witness was Colton Pitonyak, and I think he was being truthful. I don't think he remembered what happened. And I know that that's, a lot of people have criticized him and us for testifying to that, but I think he was telling the truth. They also tried to show that the gun didn't have an unusually hair trigger type of pressure point. It is something that we had our own ballistics expert look at to see what the pull ratio was on the gun to determine if, for instance, that would have been consistent with our theory of an accident. It wasn't ruled out by ballistics that it could have been an accident, but it was also pretty solid evidence that the gun didn't have an unusually light pressure trigger.
For Colton's attorneys, their only real hope is to try to convince jurors that Colton shot Jennifer by accident and that the ensuing dismemberment was the suggestion of Laura Hall.
Colton is seen at a hardware store on August 17, 2005 at approximately 2:34 p.m. He has with him a shopping list. He purchases a hacksaw and some cleaning supplies. His defense alleges that he was still intoxicated at the time and that Laura Hall came up with the shopping list and the plan to cut up Jennifer's body.
Minton suggests that Colton is so messed up on prescription drugs and alcohol that he can't think for himself, and that Laura, a young woman completely in love and obsessed with him, did all the decision-making, including the decision to flee to Mexico. But for those hoping to hear Laura's side of the story, they are left in the dark.
Laura Hall showed up because we subpoenaed her to the courtroom, and after that she asserted her Fifth Amendment privilege and did not testify.
The jury reviews the facts of the case and comes to a unanimous decision.
Colton ends up being charged with murder, which is a 55-year sentence in his case.
At the back of the courtroom sits Colton's accomplice, Laura Hall, whose own road to justice is about to be paved. On August 17, 2005, Jennifer Cave is brutally murdered at the Orange Tree Condos in Austin, Texas. And the primary suspect, Colton Pitonyak, flees to Mexico with friend Laura Hall. Colton is tried for Jennifer's murder and found guilty. He is sentenced to 55 years in prison. But Laura Hall's ordeal is just beginning. Laura Hall is brought in on charges of harboring a fugitive and tampering with evidence.
What was most disturbing was there was medical examiner evidence that after the head had been decapitated from the body, that a bullet had been shot up through the neck, and the bullet was lodged in the top of the skull. So there was a post-mortem shooting of the head of Jennifer Cave's body. That was shocking to the medical examiner, and I think it was shocking to everybody involved in the case. How could somebody do something like that? It was certainly our theory that that was done by Laura.
Officer Mark Gilchrist wants to give Laura the opportunity to explain herself. But when it appears she may not be willing to cooperate, he informs her that she's under arrest.
You don't want to talk to me without your attorney, that's what you're telling me? Okay.
I mean, unless, I don't know. If you're saying I might be in some kind of trouble.
Read that.
Oh my God.
Laura Ashley Hall, you are under arrest for hindering apprehension.
Hindering apprehension?
Yes, ma'am. Now, you understand how serious this is?
Oh my God.
Okay.
What's gonna happen?
You're gonna go to jail.
What did I...
You gotta tell the truth.
Laura decides to waive her right to an attorney and cooperate with detectives. But her story of what happens and her involvement in it changes wildly. At one point, she claims Colton tells her he is attacked.
He said that 3 people came into his apartment. One of them was Jen. They had guns. He said that, well, he didn't say one of them was Jen, but he said like one of them was, one of them was her, right? He said he left the door unlocked and they came in shooting at him.
But there's no evidence to back this claim, and Laura admits this was unlikely. Laura changes her testimony from she felt scared and threatened by Colton to she was in love with him and didn't believe he committed the crime.
I just couldn't fathom his guilt. And I wanted to be able to help him in any way I could.
Detectives are left without a clear picture of Laura's involvement. One thing, however, is clear. Laura's DNA is found throughout the condo, including on the murder weapon, the 9mm handgun that killed Jennifer Cave. The question that most people hope will be answered through Laura's trial was who mutilated the body and why. But this question is never answered. During Colton's trial, he claims he doesn't remember what happened, and Laura claims she had nothing to do with it, even though her DNA can be found on several pieces of evidence.
Laura ends up being charged and sentenced 5 years for hindering apprehension and tampering with evidence. That's simply because it was the maximum that she could really get for those 2 things that really were the only things that they could use to charge her with.
While in prison, Laura appeals her case.
While Laura was in prison serving the first part of her initial sentence, she actually spent a lot of that time talking to her friends and family from jail phones. And all those phone calls get recorded. And so, lawyers will tell you, hey, if they're still gonna take something to trial, don't say anything that maybe will be inflammatory or can be used against you.
That girl's mom sounded like a real moron. She's mad because I have a daughter and you're not dead, and she doesn't have a daughter. And
yeah, so she's jealous. Maybe she's going to stab him to death. Everybody knows, I'm going to be okay because I'm going home in mid-March, it's official.
Well,
tell me you're not going to piss on my good fortune.
Well, it's probably going to happen that way, Laura.
I'll kill you.
Well, I hope you don't.
Laura said a lot of things that were pretty damning to her friends and family, and a lot of that was used in her second trial.
They've had an interview with that girl's mother again. What's her? I don't even.
She's going down. She's going down, one way or another. She's gonna pay. She's going down.
It was something that kind of shocked the whole courtroom, was hearing Laura's jail phone calls. It was definitely something that added to the picture that the state was trying to paint of Laura being someone that would be able to do something that was this heinous. As a result, Laura's sentence was doubled from 5 to 10 years.
What right do they have to make these decisions? They're ruining my life. What right do they have to do this? Our Constitution gives them that right? No, I can't believe that. This is not my America.
Over the years, several individuals come forward and sign affidavits stating Laura claims that she killed Jennifer. One of them is Laura's cellmate.
It's been shown in all of the actual innocence cases we've seen in the last 10 or 20 years that jailhouse informants are some of the most unreliable witnesses, both for the prosecution and for the defense. So if you're basing your defense solely on jailhouse informants, you're kind of grasping. And that was one of our concerns about using the single person from the jail that we had interviewed as a defense to Colton by pointing the finger at Laura.
Colton's appeals never amount to anything, and Colton is still serving his 55-year sentence. They do, however, continue to cast a shadow over Laura's life. Laura was released on March 15, 2018, after having served her sentence. The one good thing to come from the case is Sharon's work in getting the Jennifer Cave Act passed in 2007 by Governor Rick Perry.
Specifically because of Laura's trials, the creation of the Jennifer Cave Act came about. It was something that was pushed by Sharon Cave and the Cave family as a whole. It has two parts to it. The first part being specifically about the sentencing that Laura had, and it changed it so that no longer, if there's a case like this that happened again, we wouldn't have to use those grave digger laws to sentence someone for something like this again. And the second part was actually pertaining to the jury. Sharon Cave was really affected by a lot of the jury members' reactions to the exhibits that were shown at trial and the details that they were forced to hear. And so what it did was it offered counseling for jury members that take part in Texas trials, which is a huge deal because prior to this case, that was not something that was mandatory for Texas to offer jury members. And overall, I think that it just really showcases that family's resilience and their ability to take this situation and actually give back to their community. Even in like a moment that was really heartbreaking and distressing to them, they found a way to make a difference.